My name is Amir, and today we are chatting the Black experience in 21st century America. Now, I am going to be joined by my good friend Bobby Eugene Roberts the third.
Yep,
Boom,
requested.
requested, you're in.
Let's go.
And Bobby is one of my brothers, so close, and Bobby has helped me for years now, been by my side, hustling. He was there when Spekr was turning into Spekr. And, I just figured that with everything going on right now, it would be a great time for me and him to sit down and talk the Black experience in 21st century America. Because I have, for many years, been talking to my people of color friends, including myself, and discussing our racial oppression
Yeah.
growing up in this society. And one of the resounding things that I keep seeing is that, damn, man, like, I have a lot of oppression coming my way, but Black Americans are on another level. So, I was just like, Bobby, I think we need to talk about this
Let's go.
and, just talk about Bobby's experiences because he's told me some crazy stories. So I'm like, damn, yeah, that really does happen. And, like I was saying, me and Bobby have been hustling together for many years. Bobby is on the Spekr squad, repping hard all the time. Shout out to you, Bobby.
Let's go, Spekr baby, Spekr family all the way. Smart.
So, how you doing, Bobby? Thank you for being here. Let's do this.
Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Bobby G. Roberts III. Just like he said, I'm 27 years old, and I've dealt with all these issues since the get-go. It is crazy, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm ready to jump into this and to really explain my personal 21st century um, experience as an African American male. So.
Yes, and you see the important thing is that I wanted to do this with the focus of the Black experience in 21st century America. Because we know about the Black experience and we've heard a lot about it throughout history, say through slavery, through the civil rights movement. But right now, it's clear to me that the Black experience hasn't changed too much. Am I correct about that, Bobby?
I definitely will
Say,
agree.
say over the 50, 60 years.
I'm gonna say it's lined up. I'm not saying it's changed, but or it's been better hidden. But now we're kind of going through that reversal of it being more aware because of social media and all this online extravaganza. So I really like it a lot. So it's good. We're more aware, but they can't hide from us too long. They can't hide all the discrimination and hate and killing and just downright disrespect to a culture anymore. So yeah, so not much changed.
That's, you see, I had a similar mindset. It's interesting because I have likened the Black experience in America to living under occupation military in a sense, to where Black neighborhoods deal with government enforcement on a much different level than, white neighborhoods. And like even like I was saying, it's like other people of color in America don't, it's bad. It's bad. I'm not diminishing my oppression in this system. However, I think it's important to show that, there is a level that is actually worse than a lot of the shit that I've had to deal with, which is crazy because, I have Muslim Iranian immigrant family. So, that's target number one in 21st century America. But, as I still don't think we're target number one. And, funny because it's true kind of thing. But, I wanted to talk to Bobby about just some of his experience
Yeah.
and just some stories that have happened throughout the years. I've dealt with interactions with police a lot of the times negative, sometimes positive.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like no,
I gotta.
mostly negative. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very
And we've had these conversations about it's like, yeah, positive because what? They didn't arrest us. Like, oh,
exact
thank you.
exact
That's not a
thing. Good things.
yeah,
They
that's not a
didn't.
positive experience. Like it
Yeah,
started out
I'm
negative
not.
and it just turned out positive because he didn't fuck me over. So
Just took my money and pushed me to the side. I get it. Yeah,
yes,
wake
yeah,
up.
yeah. Oh, I just got a
Exactly.
ticket.
Yeah,
Like, we diminish our oppression like that so much in this society that, again, I think that's why it's so important, especially as two men, because men are not very good talking about their feelings.
no,
And that is really the main focus here is we're about to talk about our feelings and Bobby is going to give
yeah.
us his feelings.
Um,
And yeah,
just a
Bobby,
warning
like,
label. Sorry if I get super super emotional, but he's right. Amir's very right. We're gonna get into this, and I'm gonna be completely genuine with you guys. So I warn you right now if I get a little sensitive. So
and it's a very sensitive topic. It's a very hard topic. And man to man, it's okay to cry, baby.
okay, it is good. It is good. It is good. We need to because we build from those tears. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we were talking about, some stories, but I just want to let you discuss.
Let's do a long timeline. Yeah, we
Yeah,
do
that's what
like
I'm saying. Yeah, yeah, like you started out life really tough
yes,
and, like that's the crazy thing that a lot of people, the argument that comes is like, well, a lot of people deal with these things. It's like, yes, that is correct. And again,
yes,
we're not trying to diminish anybody's level of oppression here
exactly.
by discussing this. What we're trying to show is that there is still a level that most Americans are not aware of at all. And what I'm
Yeah,
saying is, even me growing up, it took me a good minute before I was like, damn, that black homie got it worse than me, man. Like, shit, I thought I had it bad. And then, so, this is just to show what these, like, you have to go through because of the color of your skin, because of the shade of your skin,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
So,
I
and
mean,
I'm
the thing is
hoping that we
too.
break all of these ideas down, and we do that by communicating.
Exactly. I mean, I was just at work the other day, and I had this one coworker. I'm not gonna say her name, but she still couldn't get through the fact that when the Black Lives Matter movement isn't about pushing away, like you said, other people's discrimination or even other people's lives. It is about something that has been so toxic for so long, and we're just trying to make a protest and movement towards it. So I agree with you completely, Amir. I'm gonna start this.
And
My
I'm gonna make a mention about Black Lives Matter. So yesterday was Father's Day, right? So it would be the same when people like throw this whole like, yeah, but why do we focus on every life? It's like, Happy Father's Day, and you're like, Happy All Parents Day.
yeah,
Like, why aren't
exactly.
you focusing on all parents?
Yeah,
It's like, dude, because it's Father's Day right now. Like,
a little bit
so
of respect to the fathers. You know what I mean?
yeah, and just because people are like the thing that the divide and conquer masters do at the top is, and to the point of BLM as a group of communist Marxists, yeah, I don't agree with their political philosophy. However, I do agree with the fact that they don't want to be oppressed.
Or
So
killed.
or killed, like yeah. So ultimately, there's these two jumbling ups of Black Lives Matter that gets mixed up, and they do this on purpose so that they can keep the divide and conquer going. That's why I say don't fall for these tricks. They're like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, but I don't like BLM. Like, okay, I get it, but for the sake of conversation, we're not talking about some group of radical communists who call themselves something. We're saying Black Lives Matter.
Yes, they matter. They matter.
They matter, and we're talking about Black Lives
Yes,
mattering.
yes. And if you want to bring
And
your lives and have a protest, I'll back you too because we're human beings. I will support you through it all. And you know what? I think a lot of people would too. And when that time comes, then let's take that time to do that. You know what I mean? We did it for the gay movement, the trans movement, the multi-gendered, you know what I'm saying? We did it for um, that, honestly, right now we're doing it for a lot of people, but like Black Lives Matter is our topic because of how serious and severe it's constantly happening and the pattern that's happening, and especially with all systematic racism and honestly all the indirect racism, which I call it new gen racism. That's a word I know myself, made myself, but
What do you call it?
about new gen racism
New. Wow, I like that.
because it's so mixed in.
It's subtle, subtle
It is,
racism,
it
like
is, and it's
soft
almost a compliment.
racism.
Yeah, and it's almost a compliment sometimes
Yes.
because of what they've been taught over and over again, stemming from hatred, but now breaking into to just confusion and now subconscious confusion.
And it
So
like comes from love, but you're like, oh, that's so
yeah,
racist.
yes. I was literally just at a house right now where I took a bite of I was about to take a bite of a watermelon piece. I first of all noted I have not had watermelon in years, over 10 years, because of stereotypes as a young kid trying to break them. And I have it for the first bite, and before I could bite,
Hold on, hold on. Let's just talk about that real quick. You stopped eating watermelon regularly because you didn't want to fit into that stereotype. You
watermelon,
know?
orange juice, grape juice. I couldn't. Everyone likes fried chicken. I couldn't help it. Freaking, but stuff like that. Yeah, I stopped. I did it, so I didn't have to get put down for the color of my skin and liking these things.
So what
Living
happened
my own life.
today?
So today I'm about to take this a bite of this watermelon. I'm about to do it, and she's like, and I'm like thinking about it because I'm like, oh, I haven't had it for so long, and I'm still have that trauma stuck in my head. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't need this. I don't want to be black. You know what I mean? Black, ignorant black to people. You know what I mean? So I'm about to take a bite anyway. I'm like, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna enjoy it. And the young lady, she's like, oh, come on, you're gonna deny watermelon? Are you gonna deny? Like, come on, you're gonna deny watermelon? And I was just like, what the
Yeah, and you're just like,
literally what I've been trying to fight against and not be a part of happens the moment I go and re-enter something into my life. That is a stereotype. It's insane. I know she wasn't doing it out of hate because she loves me and all that stuff, and it was, she has care for me and everything like that. But that is the new gen racism that I'm
that's,
talking
when they say the term systemic racism, that's what that means, where it's just like, it's in the system.
about.
And
Yeah,
people like just don't realize at all. And I'm not gonna lie, like this isn't an American thing. This is a world thing. You go to any other country, you're gonna find racist ass people
oh
hating
for sure.
on their neighbors and their, like the other people with different colors. Like the black experience in different countries is really shitty too. So,
Oh for
but
sure, I
in
bet.
America, it's so different because like I make the argument that it's different because they imported the slave owners and the masters imported all of these people over here from I actually learned this yesterday. Here's a fun fact. The reason that they couldn't get the Native Americans to be good slaves or like obedient slaves is because they knew the terrain of the United States. That was their land. So they could
Yeah,
rebel easier, they could fight back easier, essentially. So they were harder to tame. So they were like, well, if we transport them from over there to over here, then they got no home. We change their culture,
yeah,
we change
yeah.
everything. So that's like the history of, so it's so different about the slave trade coming into the Americas. And then another thing that happened through that transition was in the beginning of the slave trade, it wasn't about colors. And then eventually they brought it down to black people. So, and that was the divide and conquer tactic that was used at that
When you can't
time
tame a bull, you
to
go
be,
for the
yep.
cow.
So it's just these people, and then you're all good now. So because
Yeah.
before slavery was based off of say like conquest, you fight a war, you lose the war, and then now you're a slave. So then it turned into, a real business model in America. And then when that happened, a lot of these
Money, yep.
people were, so in that sense, it's such a
100%. Yeah.
different standard that happened. And, the whole, fighting a civil war over it. Whereas, you could easily make the argument the Civil War was not just because of slavery, but there was something that one side was defending more than the other, and then they started fighting. So,
Which is going to be our health system sooner or later. So
well, hopefully hopefully the good
yeah,
guys come
come
out on
on.
top because in the
I
Civil War there
hope.
were no good guys because that was the thing with like ending slavery is that I mean look, we celebrated Juneteenth the other day, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
what was Juneteenth? It was like a few years after slavery was abolished. These people in Texas were like, "Wait, we're not slaves anymore?"
What? Wait, no one told us the news.
Yeah, nobody told us. Yeah, of course they didn't
Because they
tell
were
you.
all no.
Like,
Yeah, because they're not gonna take you off the leash. They're gonna try to extend
yeah.
it, or they're gonna try to trick you to make you forget you had a leash on.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So they didn't have like social media and stuff. They can't be like, "Hey, slavery's abolished." Like,
Dude.
so yeah, like so yeah. Tell me about your
Okay.
childhood. Just
Okay.
kind
Let's
of how
start
you
from the
grew
get
up,
go.
and whatever you feel comfortable. Like I know the whole story,
I'm
but whatever you feel comfortable.
I'm totally open like a book. You know how it is. I have nothing to hide from people. I got to be completely genuine to get genuine respect. So, I started off as a young boy. This is information that I've been told. Um, don't know if it's 100% true because I don't have a connect line to it, and I'll explain that right now. So, as a young kid, I was a crack baby with my little brother. He was very sick, but I was able to kind of get out of it okay, and get healthy. Around 14 months old, I was dropped off at my grandmother's house and to be taken care of them and get adopted by them. Um, and right off the bat, at a very young age, she passed away from breast cancer. So there was a whole ordeal through this whole case scenario of finding a sense of home and sense of parenthood, like a parenthood to childhood or child, the type of like a connection. Um, so you already get that. First of all, at a young age, I already find out that's already a stereotype. The young African male, father dips, mother's on crack, or whatever, this and that. And I'm going to let you know that I was actually born in Kern County, but I was brought to Fresno, California at 14 months. And that's where I started this whole situation here. So, I'm not going to lie. I was actually lucky enough to get dropped off in the suburbs because that's where my grandparents had stayed. They had made a little money for themselves. Oops, sorry. They made a little money for themselves. He had worked hard. He went to the military. My grandfather was a very strong-willed man. He became an engineer major, and then went to NASA, helped build rocket ships, and also helped with the Apollo. No, wait, no, the Columbus, a couple other ships, and was very respected as an engineer for NASA. So he was able to live in a nicer area, which is very hard. We do know for African Americans to get out of. You know what I mean? Out of a lower end income neighborhood. So he was able to get out, able to do that stuff, and we get to start our life here. And I grow up already knowing about stereotypes. Our family was, I was raised and taught about police and the cruelty and the negativity of our culture from the get go. So now I have already an upbringing of fear and trauma. As a young kid, even to this day, when I see a cop, I
And we
run
got
over them.
JoJo in here now too. What's up, JoJo? How you doing?
Jojo, what up, boy? And just being afraid, even in the suburbs of police. And when I see police, I don't get this feeling of security. I get this feeling of terror. So at the younger age, it was a little bit more because I didn't know as much as
So
the
here,
young
let me throw something back at you then. The argument would be like, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you got nothing to worry about.
we were taught very young. Doesn't matter if you're doing anything wrong or right, you will be stopped and you will be questioned and you won't get the right treatment. The justice system, as a 10-year old, as a 9-year old, learning that the justice system will not be on my side is a huge thing. It's monumental. You know what I mean? As a kid, so you fend for yourself in a situation. And we'll go to the first interaction that I had with a negative, direct racist experience. So
How old are you?
uh, I'm probably 11 years old because I'm starting to skateboard a little bit more serious around this time. And because I started skateboarding at a very young age, around 4 years old, but I started getting serious around 10. And um, so I started skateboarding, which is at this time I think it was like 2001, maybe yeah, about 2001, yeah, 2001, 2002, still kind of early 2000s, but I'm out there skateboarding, and this blue Corvette stops by, and this is around a time where Stevie Williams and a couple other people like Terry Kennedy were kind of getting big. Nigel was a young kid still, so he was still trying to get big, but there's not a lot of black skateboarders. So majority of whites, Caucasian or like Brazilian people who are skateboarders, right? Um, he stops the car as he's driving down the street. He stops it. He says, and sorry for the language. I hope it doesn't offend anybody. I'm going to say it because I feel comfortable because I am African American. But he said, niggers can't skate. You can bleep that out. You can do what you want with that. I don't know what's going to happen. Whatever. Freedom of speech. He said, niggers can't skate. Looked at me and flipped me off and drove off. As a young kid, I was just kind of more stunned. And I'm really confused. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Wait, this is a white dude?
white dude in a blue Corvette. Yeah, I remember the car. That's how easily I remember it.
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Dude, just drives off, bro. And this is the first small interaction that I get that was really direct. And then it opened my eyes. And then it just kept getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And it started coming in different forms. My grandfather had told me, along with my uncle, that I had a lot of majority of white friends, right? Because that's in our neighborhood. But he was told to not trust and to not fully be vulnerable around them, because when shit hits the fan, I'm the one they're going to be blaming. Unfortunately, I found out the hard way. He was right. There's times where at 13, 14, I got jumped by my own culture, who unfortunately was brought down by an environment that now has made them into more uneducated and systematically blind to everything around them. So they have to fend for themselves in a jungle, and they even retaliate against their own.
That's correct. That's one of the arguments that people throw is like, yeah, well, if you're talking about police on black violence, why don't you talk about the black on black violence number? It's like, bro, you put them all in a neighborhood, you don't let them leave, you oppress the shit out of them so they're all poor, and then you pit them against each other.
Yep.
It's divide and conquer 101, you know?
It is, yeah. Exactly.
So
exactly.
that's a hallmark of occupation.
If we put 10 white people in a jungle, I bet you in 2 months, 5 will be there because they ate the other 5 or they killed the other 5, and now they're savages. It's common sense. You know what I mean? So if you put yourself in an urban jungle and you don't have help and you don't have security, and the people who are supposed to protect you are coming after you, you start getting really fucked up situations or messed up situations. So we'll go back to the main thing. The thing is like, so I guess you would say that was one of my first big ones, right? And then the combination of information that was being fed to me.
That's big, bro. That's just like, holy fuck.
Well, as a kid,
yeah, you're like, huh?
And then I started opening my eyes. So we'll go a little bit farther in the future. I mean, like becoming 8th grade, 7th grade, which I'm 12, 13 around this age. And I started seeing my own friends have this sort of different type of racism. That was like, man, you always got the best dance moves. You got a heck of good rhythm. Go figures. Oh, man, you're too fast. You can jump really high. Probably because you're black. You know what I mean? Oh, you know that muscle gain that you were working on and you worked really hard on your skills on your soccer? No. You're genetically built for this. You know what I mean? And I mean, I can definitely give a counter argument to it too. And I understand that if you weed out all the weak in a moment of slavery, in slavery where all the weak died.
Yeah, it's like, why are they typically stronger? Because they literally just killed all the weaker ones, and then they bred through that lineage. So, all fucking white people, they fuck themselves over.
Dude, exactly. Now we control your sports, your entertainment. Like, you messed up, but it's okay because the struggle makes you stronger.
Yeah.
But so
literally,
yeah, for real. And that's honestly that's on evolution. To be real with you,
that's what I'm saying.
That's facts.
What goes around comes around, you know.
Exactly. And now that's why they're scared. That's why people are scared. And that's why I think those people who have been bred to be ignorant towards another race or skin or a culture is now they're fearful too, because they're having some type of hidden guilt, subconscious guilt that they don't know where it's coming from. I had an older couple in my work, restaurant work, apologize to me for being white. That is one of the biggest things I've ever experienced in my life so far. Like for that situation, like apologize for his culture and the discrimination and hate and killings that went to mine. Not even knowing who I was, not even never did anything wrong to me, but was just feeling so genuinely hurt that he wasn't educated for so long and that he didn't know that he wanted to say sorry to me. I would never thought in a million years in my whole lifetime I would ever hear that. Coming from a part where, like I said, a lot of that fear, that trauma, that exclusion, that loss of trust has now bred me to believe that, you know what, I'm numb to the situation, but I'm also like, I don't expect anyone to be sorry. I don't expect anyone to have compassion towards that anymore because of what I've seen and what I've had to deal with. I mean, even going into a big garden or a Starbucks, that's the most uncomfortable thing I had to deal with. A Starbucks. How many of you guys who are watching this right now can literally say, when I go into Starbucks, I feel uncomfortable? So I'm saying, right? 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 Because people are looking at you, Amir, like, oh, this guy could bomb this place right now.
Yeah, I don't feel yeah, that's one of those things too where I've tried really really hard and you make yourself feel comfortable. That's kind of how
Yeah.
you have to do it. You're just like, well, I ain't gonna do shit, so if you fucking think that, you think whatever the fuck you want, I'm here. So,
Yeah.
but it's the energy
It is.
of the
It's the vibe.
situation,
And it's the
yeah, the
fact that
vibe,
anything
yeah.
could flip immediately. I can walk into a store and some Karen doesn't like the way I did it because I look aggressive or it looks like I'm going to steal or I
Yeah,
might
it
have a gun
looks
in my
like you're
bag.
gonna steal, yeah.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
looks suspicious.
Going into a regular grocery store, knowing that I have to like keep my hands out or not bring a water bottle in because they thought I stole it from just personal experience. I'm not saying I just thought these things up, guys. This wasn't something that I read on a newspaper and it was like, oh,
You
don't
know,
bring your water
Bobby, that's a
bottle.
very interesting point you bring up. And JoJo says, I look like I'll rob the place. But
Jojo, you are buff as
yeah,
hell,
you're a
bro.
big ass
I'm
motherfucker, bro.
trying to get at you, bro.
Yeah. Skin color aside, bro, I'm scared
Yeah,
of you no
like
matter what, bro.
exactly. The muscle gain you have,
Yeah. You're
Jojo.
like, oh, crunch a head open, right? But Jojo, like we gotta chat as well about this. But that's an interesting thing that you bring up about the water bottle because I'm like, I wonder if white people have that experience because that right there is one of the shared experiences that we have too, to where I'm like, hey, I didn't steal this.
Yep.
Like, do white people even think about that?
I don't
I don't.
know.
If you're a white dude watching, white girl, I don't, white whatever watching,
Listen,
do you?
some.
Is that something that you've thought about when you go into somewhere with the bottle to like remind the people that hey, I'm coming in with this, or like, and if not, then why?
Yeah.
And why is it that we have this shared experience here that you may not have? And that's like the thing. It's like there, like again, it's there are levels to this shit, and you know, Guadalupe says yes. So you see, it's like it's a
Oh.
people of color thing,
Yep. Yep.
So, but again, like I don't want to generalize and just like assume the emotions of white
And we can
people,
only, yeah.
but that does seem like a connected. I'm like, do white people worry about? That's why these conversations are so awesome, Bobby, because we get to take the conversations that we've all had, behind closed doors, make ourselves vulnerable, and
Yeah.
bring them out to be like, hey, white people, do you think about that?
Yeah. Do you think
Because we
about
do all the time.
like like walking down the street, do you think, oh hey, at any moment I should be looking over my shoulder because
All
either a
day.
police officer or someone who doesn't like my skin color or someone who thought I would there's been sorry guys, there's been many of times where I've just been skating down the street, going to a store location to get some ice cream, and then they pull up two cops, freaking suited up, gun on, hand on gun, saying I look like someone they profiled.
Yeah, so I have black skin. That's what they mean.
And and I was I was born with a little bit lighter skin color for being black. I'm mixed, but
Yeah, could you
and
actually, that's a topic that I don't know if people outside of the black community know too much about, but about the skin shades in the black community and how
so
that's viewed
yeah, so
between the
South.
black community.
Okay, well, actually, like that. Okay, so I'll tell you what I experienced between the black community that I've had and my own friends, because I do have a good majority of African American friends. But I'll also tell you something that makes it kind of perfect, ties it together. South Park came out with a game called the Fractured Butt Hole, like whole pizza or something like that. And the difficulty for the game is your skin color, and the blacker you are, the harder the game gets. That is how it is. So like that's what I, the best way of explaining it.
Well, I guess that's, yeah.
The darker you are, the harder you're gonna have either with the police, people's mindsets, females, this and this and that. You know what I mean? Especially with the culture of African Americans, right? Our black culture right now is light skins are like the sexy versions of black, which is messed up in its whole sense because
And that right there can arguably come from the white colonialist slave owner mindset to where it's like white is beautiful, black is bad, and then from there that culture got pushed onto the black community all the way to, you get to Michael Jackson then.
yeah, yeah,
Because you want that so bad. I mean, look, we don't just see that in the black community. I mean, we see with Asian cultures, they get their eyes wider, so it's just the dominant colonial race or class. It was like white Anglo Christians, right? So they use we are doing this because God said so. We're here to save you. That means you're the savages. The white man is the
the perfect
savior,
friend. Yeah,
So through generations, hundreds of years, it's obvious why. I mean, bro, what am I saying? Persian culture. They're like, oh, my nose is too big. I got to get a nose job. It's the same thing to where the standard of beauty has been set to white, and the entire globe to this day like runs around that.
well, especially America, you know what I mean? And now how popular America's got blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, can get a little tan because they're always chasing a tan, which is ironic. I think it's pretty funny.
Isn't that
But
funny?
it's very funny.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, yeah, that's the standard that they've been trying to push out in fashion and all this other stuff for so long, especially when they could hide it a little bit easier without social media for so long. But like, yeah, dude, it really is that way. You know what I mean? Like, I I've seen friends who literally just like, oh, girl, like, and it's not, she's like, oh, I just don't, maybe not that dark. I know I like a little bit more lighter skinned. What if this man would treat you the best you've ever been treated? Where's his heart lie? Where does his mind lie? Why are you worried about how dark his skin's gonna be next to you when you're wearing a certain outfit, or how you're gonna look on your wedding day? Like, what? Now I get preferences, totally fine, but now it's a statement and not more than a description. You know what I mean? That is now prevalent in America, throughout the whole America. And I mean, let's think about it this way, right? Constitution. What was that? Who was that made by?
Bunch of rich white landowners and who owned
Ex-
slaves too, most of them.
exactly. Land of free. We were not included. We were not
Yeah.
included in that.
Nobody was included if you weren't a rich white man.
Exactly. So what do you think
Who happened to be like
America?
a certain religion too, because if you're a rich white man and some other religion probably ain't gonna work the same too. So.
So it's like exactly. So like, what do you think centuries after centuries of conditioning that way is going to lead to? And then now you're letting now we're really the land of for all. So now and then all when you have everybody else, they're like, oh wait, that doesn't seem right. Why was that going for so long? Because we weren't allowed in for so long until we were brought in. You know what I
Yeah, and
mean?
then when like black community time and time again throughout American history tried to bring themselves up, then we see situations like Black Wall Street.
Yep, man. The whole segregation like era is just
Well, that's the
disappointing.
interesting thing. They were like, okay, you're segregated. And they're like, all right, bitch, we're going to go get rich. And then they got rich. And then they're like, psych, we're going to come kill you now.
Yeah, they're like, oh wait, or they kill your wallet. So like, hey, oh wait, you're rich. You can make some difference in your community and your culture. But these Jordans, oh, but this shiny jewelry. Oh, buy these new Balenciaga, bruh. You're just you're not allowing us to you're distracting us with a pretty penny, and
Have,
you're making
have
that
you
under it.
have you heard of the Wilmington Massacre of 1898?
I have not. Can you please bring me some detail on that?
I just learned about it, and wow. So, see, I brought up Black Wall Street. Like a lot of people know about the Black Wall Street story, but Wilmington is in North Carolina, and actually, the city government there in their library like locked away the history books for what happened there for a long time. Now they're releasing them and stuff, I believe. But what happened was blacks and whites started working together. Republicans. So this is like an interesting thing too, is I'm sure you know, Bobby, but in American history, throughout history, it was the Democrats who were racist and wanted to kill the black people. And so it, from what we saw in propaganda, it switched over in our
Yeah,
lifetimes. But
yeah.
the historical, and that's not to say that the Republican Party doesn't welcome black people the same,
No,
like
they
if
do.
not better than the Democratic
No, they
Party.
do.
You know, exactly. See, that's the thing.
Yeah,
That right there,
yeah,
that is that Democrat Party propaganda that
yeah.
they're like, oh, black people can't join the Republican Party. I worked with a shitload of black people when I was in the Republican Party. They were great fucking people, you know? So that, you know, it's those things
Exactly. It's
where,
my personal views.
yeah, they make you believe that like, oh, you're a like you hear these things like you're a black Republican, you're a traitor to your class, or you're a
Oh my
traitor to your
gosh,
people, you know, like,
dude.
right? Like, yeah, that's what they say essentially, you know?
I've heard
So,
that so many times from other people, and I'm like, dude, come on, man.
yeah, yeah, but the Wilmington insurrection of 1898, or the Wilmington coup, because it was actually a government, like it was a coup by the Democratic Party to remove the black people from elected government. And what was happening was they were forming a black and white coalition government. They were friends with each other. They were growing together, doing business together. And then the coup occurred when North Carolina's Southern Democrats, like you know, just the white supremacist type, like I hate black people type Democrats, they led a mob of 2,000 white dudes to overthrow the fusionist government is what it was, fusionist, like black and white fusion.
Yeah,
So they started killing a bunch of people. Like they were saying stuff like, the rivers we're gonna make the rivers red with black blood or something like that. They were just killing people. Like the story was that a lot of black people had to go in the cemetery and hide so they wouldn't come there and get them, kind of thing. So it was bad. And it was one of those things in American history where in the newspapers, they all made it seem like the black dude started it, as usual, as
yep,
typical colonial occupation
yep,
tactic, blame the oppressed, you
yep,
know?
yep.
So even though they said like they didn't even have guns, so they weren't like fighting, it was a straight up massacre. So they killed an estimated 60 to 300 people. And then when you look at the roster of the government and the pictures, it was like these black guys at the bottom and it just got reversed. All white dudes. So what happened was the thing that they really got on them was that they torched down their newspaper. Because their newspaper was the one giving the black community their information. They torched
Yeah,
that shit down and then boom, now they have complete control of the narrative.
yep,
Very
yep.
similar, you see, to what they're doing today. So, that's the crazy thing about the Democratic Party
If the thing
is,
works, then
we're talking about all these child rapists and pedophiles.
bro, yeah, bro.
Where y'all at? We know what party you're at mostly. So, like I don't like buying into that divide and conquer myself either, to where I'm like, the Democrats this, the Republicans that. However, in this Wilmington story, the Republicans were the ones who were together, because that is the history of American republicanism. That was like the counter to the slaves. They're like, nah, we'd rather not do this.
Yeah.
But now Republicans are racist. See?
Conservative, yeah, because you think you're conservative and everything. Yeah, it's like, wow, it's just like, I think it's just a bunch of telephone game and a bunch of miscommunication, also propaganda. So, and then not getting that connection, that network out, you know what I mean? That's why it's so hard for them to do it now. That's why we could see it.
Well,
We have that network.
I think that's what's changing now too, because the black community, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like there's a lot of interconnectedness in social media right now between black voices. So black voices are starting to get more heard because of that.
But we're being nicer to ourselves too. I mean, like, I feel like, so like today I met with this, my lovely girlfriend, Alex Hoover. She's getting her car detailed. It was a nice young black guy. We literally connected instantly, like, where he's like, you know what, I got a publisher. I want to help you out. I want to help you out. Let me know what I can do for you. Like, just knowing that, because there's so much division, that we need to stay united. And it was very refreshing, because at a good moment of time before all this was happening, my own people were putting me down for even just speaking a little bit more proper, having a little bit more a wider terminology or bigger vocabulary. And
Tell me about that, because that's an interesting thing that people of color deal with, to where, I can talk really white, right? And you can too, in that sense.
For sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a really interesting thing, because especially in the black community, that is, like, you don't hear that, say, in Middle Eastern communities much, but I have heard it in black communities, which is like you sound like a white dude kind of thing. Like, why you sound so white? Yeah, wait, exactly. So like, talk about that a little.
Okay, that's actually, I'm glad you asked that. I'm gonna get pretty passionate about this. Whitewash has been my hated term since the get-go. I've always been called a whitewash or Oreo, because of where I was raised, and being able to adapt to my surroundings. I can go over to a lower income neighborhood and fully fit in too, but that's because of my own personality. But besides that, growing up, let's say a whole different side of my own culture was putting me down because of what I was wearing. Because I was wearing Fox, the motocross company, and that's usually a white thing.
Yeah, I rep the Fox gloves for days. Yeah, they're good shit.
Brand.
Fox helmet,
It was a sick
Yeah,
brand.
that's
You know
a
what I
good
mean?
one. Yeah.
Skateboarding, just writing poetry, because I didn't want to rap, because I was fighting a stereotype too. Now I rap.
Wow.
Dude, literally, like, everything I did, it seemed so white to them, because it wasn't something that they were doing in their area. You know what I mean? And it was backed up by the point from other cultures saying, "Hey, if you think of a black guy, you think of yo, what's up, my dog? Like, hey, you trying to go play some b-ball? You trying to go hit a black and mile? Bro, throughout, from middle school to high school to college to this day, I hear that word constantly, and it's one of my only 4 trigger words. Personally, Amir, I can sit there and be straight-faced and take a situation that's intense.
Bobby can handle it.
I can handle it. But that word was one of my 4 trigger words.
That's interesting, because like, before you started talking about that, I was like, the Middle Eastern community doesn't really deal with that. However, that word is a very common one in other, colored communities as well. Where like, that was a thing with me a lot of the times. They would be like, you're so whitewashed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't speak Persian like I'm in Iran. Like,
Exactly.
I am in California, on the coast of California. I'm sorry, my accent sounds like I was born and raised in the coast of California. Like,
I would literally, I get confused as a white surfer dude on Xbox all the time. They're like, okay, don't, dude, you shouldn't be talking like that. I'm like, bro, I'm black. It's like, no, you're not. I'm like, that's why I had to change my profile picture to my face.
Wow.
Bro, like literally. So we'll go back to the main thing. Like literally, I feel that it's insane to see. It's kind of like my story is a little different than someone who may be a little darker skinned than I am. And I got the two white for the blacks, two black for the whites. Situation here. Other people will have just two black. Or someone may be like really light skinned and they won't get any love, and no one will assume that they're African American or believe that they're African American or have any African American in them or black in them.
That's really interesting. We have very similar experiences with that because, like, my Persian skin color, it's like not super brown, but I'm not like white enough to. So, like, you get the whole like, you're white passing, and it's like, really, motherfucker? Yeah, tell him my name is Amir and see how white passing, like. Like these Persian ass eyebrows. You think that's like, I don't think, yeah, like they're clean, but that ain't passing for white.
Oh yeah, I bet you're trouble in the freaking traveling through airports, bro. It's just
exactly. So that's a very interesting point too. That I like just like you. I'm like, well, I never felt like super white. I never felt super brown. And I'm just in this like middle ground, and yeah, you deal with a very similar. But see, again, look, this is the thing. I can be like Iranian. No, I'm Arab. Iranian. No, I'm French. Like you, it's like, well, you're gonna say you're not black? Like you're black. Like you can't hide that. Yeah. So that's that's what I'm saying. Like in the levels of oppression. Like, this is actually like a fun fact. It's not fun, but during the 1979 Iranian Revolution, or like when the hostage crisis happened and they took a bunch of Americans hostage in the American embassy.
Actually, yeah.
So in places like Los Angeles, the Iranians were literally getting killed, like jumped to death and shit. So there was a story, I was watching a documentary, and then the guy was saying, he's like, yeah, these white dudes surrounded me in a store, and they're like, what's up? Like, you Iranian? And he's like, no, I'm Arab. And they're like, oh, okay, you're cool. You're cool. Like, so, like, that's the crazy thing is that on that level of just the oppression, I'm like, yeah, that's been the biggest eye-opening thing for me, too, is I can... as far as the passing goes, yeah, I can pass as something else if I want to, but black people can't.
No, you really can't. I mean,
that's why I don't like the whole Blue Lives Matter, because it's like, bro, you work a job and then you're not a blue life anymore when you're off the job. Like, you don't get to like take your black suit off and be like, okay, I'm not oppressed now.
I'm cool. Like I can go, I can do whatever I want. Like, bro, like. And I'm glad you brought that up. You are wearing a uniform that, yeah, you're right, is interchangeable. You know what I mean? The blue can honestly be changed to something else if they really wanted it to, right? I can't change what I was born with, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to take that surgery. I'm not going to let you win. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep being who I am and shoot through it and break through it. It is a different type of hurt when it's so roller coastery from being subtle to intense throughout years and years and years and years, even only at 27. You know what I mean? I can't even talk for the people who are 40, who are 50, who are my grandfather's age was 80, 83, 85.
So he like legit lived through Jim Crow America.
He did. He legit did. And that's why I can't blame him completely on how he raised us, because he has that trauma and he has that fear and he has that, that just America beat down for so many years.
Yeah. That's wild. That was one of the most telling times I had in the Republican Party. There was this amazing woman. I love her. Her name is Beatrice. And she was one of the women in the Republican Party during my times who was just really nice to me when everybody was so fucking mean to me, and she told me that she's like, yeah, I grew up in a time where we couldn't vote.
Yeah. Because
we were black and there was segregation, and I was like, oh shit. Hey, you're sitting right next to me. Like, whoa, that's
which has led a lot of African Americans to not even vote at all because of
like
just
poll tax, and then like so what they did in Wilmington, Wilmington,
the
the
massacre.
thing in North Carolina I was telling you about. Then they had their election, and then they just lined up all these white dudes with guns, and they're like, "Come through, then, see what happens." So yeah, it's voter suppression.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean, it's another case when your education that you should have gotten for centuries to let your family lineage like adapt and evolve has been cut. You know what I mean? Or limited. You know what I mean? There's only so far you can go unless you push past the limits of an ecosystem that they've been created to trap you. So it's like you can't. You're not free. You're not entirely free in that situation. You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot of people will have this disconnect when they hear us talk about it. And it's really cool that we have someone. Not cool. It's not cool that you went through it too in your own way, but it's heartwarming to
yeah,
really kind
yeah, it's a nice feeling to at least know that other people resonate with the same feelings
because it's
and
a
have the
different
same
story.
experiences.
Yeah, and it's a different story when you talk to someone who of Caucasian descent. I mean, I've tried, and it's to the point where it's hard to even continue trying to certain people because they want to understand, and I totally get that they want to understand, they want to feel the pain, but they don't. They don't. So, which leads to confusion, which leads to a disconnect, which leads to a misunderstanding throughout the whole conversation. It's just so like that's why I think we're doing this right to kind of bridge that gap.
Exactly. Yeah, that's, especially, from this standpoint of, we were talking about it before we started this, and we see all these businesses trying to angle, like, we care about Black lives, buy our product,
They're using it as a market tactic now. It's like,
That's
dude,
straight up. So I was like, you
so
know
they
what?
used again.
Yeah, let's do something different here. Let's actually talk about, that's what I was saying. I was like, wait, so you step down as the like your executive position to just open it up for a black person, like we were talking about that and
Yeah.
things like that where, I just think what we were saying earlier, it's like, oh, they do these things and then they think in the goodness of their heart they're doing it, but then it's like, actually, this was a thing too when I was in college where, like black people and just people of color and stuff, depending on your situation, would get precedent to get into the school because of skin color.
Yeah, it was. It's called.
Yeah, what is that? I totally forgot the
It's
term
called
for it.
not Democrat. No. It's called.
I can't believe.
Oh my gosh! Wow, they do it for work too.
Yeah, you're
Um.
right.
Oh my gosh! I'm having a brain fart. Let's see here. Let's yeah. You looking at it?
I know. I'm like, need to. Affirmative action.
Okay. Okay.
That's what it is. Yeah, affirmative action. Yeah, yeah. So, if you don't know what affirmative action in the United States is a set of laws, policies, guidelines, and administrative practices intended to end and correct the effects of specific forms of discrimination that include government mandated, government approved, and voluntary private programs. The programs tend to focus on access to education and employment, granting special consideration to historically excluded groups, specifically racial minorities and women. Now, here's the funny thing about affirmative action, Bobby. I don't get that because I have to put Caucasian under my applications. So that's a really, that was a very, when I was in that system, I was like, wait, but I got to put white here. Like that, how do I get this affirmative action? Like, so that doesn't apply to me, so it's supposed to, but it doesn't?
So that's what I'm saying. And like unfortunately to say, that's another form of racism. You know what I
And
mean?
that's there. Thank you for saying that. Oh my God, when I was in college, bro, I said that in a class and I got ripped apart. Oh my God. Like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I think affirmative action is racist.
This is racist.
And bro, I had this girl like screaming at me in the class. And I was like, I'm fucking, you asked for my opinion, all right? I tried to stay quiet.
It's the fact that it's like but this is a personal opinion. I don't know how well my culture believes this too, but I'm not looking for extra privileges. I'm not looking to be ahead of someone else. I'm just looking for actual, true, genuine equality, for a chance to show who I am and my self worth, and let nothing else block any judgment on it. Not saying judgment is all negative, because judgment isn't a the description of judgment. It doesn't say it's a negative put down, or it's an or it's not that. It's a
Yeah,
educated
yeah.
guess on something, or a decision on something with education, right? So the thing is, it's like, give me that chance in
Yes.
every form. Give me it in my jobs. Give it to me in my schools. Give it to me in my relationships, and like, or like in meeting new families. You know what I mean? Like, I've had many times where I personally had to convince a Caucasian family that I was dating their daughter, that I was one of the good black people, that I wasn't, or like going to a lake just to have fun on a rope swing, seeing a bunch of what's the word? I guess you would call it redneck or hillbilly. I don't want to put down anybody else, but more country
Like,
based.
if I gotta
Um,
stereotype them, I gotta call them
I
something.
do, yeah, I don't want to, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the description, I would say they're more country based Caucasians. To not jump me by acting a little bit, adapting more to a like derogative way towards my own culture. And I will admit that,
Wow.
or just playing a little bit more white. And that hurts deeply when I have to do that for safety, because I don't want to break my own opinions and
Oh
rules.
man.
But putting down my own culture, and these people who are putting down my culture, convincing them that I am one of the good ones, that
Damn,
it
man,
is
that's
it's a
so real.
different.
Holy shit. Wow.
It is
I
it,
resonate with that hard.
it's like, bro, like, and I'm not saying we're perfect, and no one is in the world, and I can see where some of um, the cycles and patterns that we've been put into have now affected us, and now has been bred, and now it's branching out in its own subculture. I get that. You know what I mean? That's not, we need to change as much as things need to change. Because how do you get the world and people to love and accept you? You have to love and accept yourself. So I think that's where we need to work on too. But it's hard when you're literally, even as a suburban black kid, even saying black, like, I'm brown. I'm not even black, dude.
I
Like, I'm not even black.
exactly. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I am actually
Like, bro, they're Indian dudes darker than you. Like, that's
exactly,
the funny thing about like what it means to be like black even. It's like, bro, there are dudes in India that are blacker than the blackest. Like, do you like
exactly. Or even
uh,
Cambodia. Like, bro,
exact like yeah, they're exact like they're Arab fools who are just like black dark ass like but
yeah,
that's exactly that's the thing. It's like there is no when you take it down to the reality of things, what is race even? It's nothing. It's just
no.
different pigmentations of skin color and different like demographic traits based off of
Culture.
where you were raised for a long
Yeah.
time.
A white dude could be raised in the heart of Brooklyn or the heart of Detroit, and he comes out speaking way more Ebonic than some African Americans like myself. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
culture. It's culture. That's why the African American culture is so popping right now. Is because we have made such a outspoken place where we were allowed to. Not anywhere where it had major power, but we were allowed to be in movies. We were allowed to entertain because you want the gesture to entertain you. We were allowed to do sports and do crazy jobs and stuff like that because you want people who are going to get injured first. You think about, who's expendable. You know what I mean? And then we were called
Wow.
black because of, I think personally, because when you get looked at as dirt, what are you? What's dirt? You get
Wow.
black. You don't get, like,
Hey Bobby, so we got on the IGTV we got 1 more minute left, and it's like does the hour thing.
okay.
So do you want to cut
Oh, yeah,
off and
yeah.
then you want to continue for like 30 more minutes?
I say, yeah, you know what? Let's cut off and take a tiny little intermission. I got to answer some phone calls and stuff like that too. Be a little more smart with my managing, and then let's jump back on it for like
All
another
right, we got
15,
30
20
seconds
minutes.
left. Then if that's the case, we are going to finish this off. That's an hour discussion already. I love you, Bobby.
Okay.
It was great chatting with you.
Good. Part 2 will
Yo,
come out soon.
check out SpekrCBD.com. Get yourself some CBD drops. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Go to SpekrCBD.com. Use discount code Amir. That was a great, phenomenal
Love
conversation.
you guys.
Bobby, I love you so much. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Yeah.
Let's
Can't wait
go.
to talk again.
I know. Have a great night, bro.
too.
I love you all. Mwah.
Spekr, baby.
Let's
get it.
go. Oh, yeah.